25.1 Surah Al-Furqan, the Criterion. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. Today we embark upon a magnificent journey into the 25th Surah of the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Furqan, which translates to the Criterion. This surah, revealed in Mecca, acts as a profound divider, a powerful touchstone separating truth from falsehood, light from deep-seated darkness. It speaks to the core of the spiritual conflict faced by the early Muslims, addressing the doubts, the dismissals, and the outright hostility of the disbelievers towards the Prophet Mohammed, peace be upon him, and the divine message he bore. The word Al-Furqan itself is a title given to the Quran, for it is the ultimate yardstick by which all human actions, beliefs, and values are to be measured. It is the decisive proof, the illumination, that distinguishes guidance from error. We will delve into the first 5 verses of this profound revelation, where Allah immediately establishes His absolute majesty and the peerless nature of His revelation. Prepare your hearts and minds to receive this divine elm as we explore the seamless tapestry of historical context and eternal wisdom woven into these opening pronouncements. The environment in which these verses descended was one of intense opposition. The Makkan elite, comfortable in their ancestral traditions and their socio-economic power, saw the message of Islam not just as a religious challenge, but as an existential threat to their established way of life. They demanded tangible miracles. They scorned the Prophet, peace be upon him, for his humanity, questioning why a messenger sent by the Lord of the worlds would walk the streets, eat food, and have a mortal existence like any other man. They dismissed the Quran as nothing more than tales of old, fabricated by the Prophet, peace be upon him, with the help of others. This surah, therefore, provides both a powerful rebuttal to their accusations and a gentle yet firm consolation to the believers, affirming the omnipotence of Allah and the truth of His book. It sets the stage for a dramatic exposition of the fate of those who reject guidance and the immense reward awaiting those who embrace it. This whole experience of the revelation is meant to transport the listener back to the very moment of divine descent, making the struggles and triumphs of the early community intensely immediate and deeply relatable. Let us now turn our attention to the very beginning of this monumental surah, Kanzel, Iman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25-1 verse 1. Blessed is he who has sent down the Criterion upon his bondman, so that he may be a warner to all the worlds. The surah commences with a magnificent declaration of divine blessing. Blessed is he who has sent down the Criterion upon his bondman. The Arabic word used here is tabarak, which signifies an enduring, ever-increasing, and abundant nature of blessing, goodness, and majesty. It immediately elevates the discourse, drawing the listener's focus to the Supreme Being, the source of all existence and perfection. Allah is the possessor of infinite glory, and His act of revelation is the highest manifestation of this glory. The Criterion Al-Furqan is unequivocally identified here as the divine gift, sent down upon his bondman, a profound designation for the Prophet Mohammed, peace be upon him. This title, ABD, meaning servant or bondman, is the highest honor a human can achieve, signifying perfect submission and servitude to Allah. It is not his kingship or prophethood that is highlighted first, but his utterly devoted servanthood. This is a subtle, yet powerful lesson in spiritual humility, teaching us that true honor lies in absolute obedience and devotion. The purpose of this descent is then immediately stated, so that he may be a warner to all the worlds. The message is not confined to the Arabs of Mecca or the people of his time. It is universal and eternal. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is the warner Nadir, tasked with cautioning and awakening all of creation mankind again to the realities of the day of judgment and the consequences of their deeds. The profound richness of this single verse lies in its succinct yet comprehensive statement of Tawhid, oneness of Allah, the prophethood of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the divine origin and universal scope of the Quran. This opening acts as a majestic pillar, supporting the entire edifice of the surah's subsequent arguments and narratives. It establishes from the outset the unassailable authority of both the messenger and the message. Kanzel, Yaman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25-2, verse 2. He is the one whose is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and he has not taken a son, and there is no partner for him in the kingdom. And he has created everything, and then ordained for it an appropriate destiny. The second verse builds upon the first by elaborating on the unbounded, peerless majesty of the Revealer. He is the one whose is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. This is a declaration of absolute sovereignty, of Malakut, the unseen, powerful dominion that encompasses all realms, both visible and invisible. The mention of the kingdom of the heavens and the earth is a direct challenge to the polytheistic beliefs of the Makkans, who ascribe divinity and power to idols and lesser deities. It asserts that Allah alone is the undisputed sole sovereign, with no partners in his rule, authority, or creation. This omnipotence is further clarified by the powerful negations, and he has not taken a son, and there is no partner for him in the kingdom. This directly refutes the claims of those who ascribed a son to Allah, subtle yet clear reference to the Christian and Jewish claims present in the broader region. It is an uncompromising assertion of pure monotheism, utterly free from any taint of polytheism or anthropomorphism. The verse culminates in a powerful statement about divine creation and decree. And he has created everything and then ordained for it an appropriate destiny. The creation of everything signifies the sheer magnitude of Allah's creative power, encompassing all matter, energy, and life. The subsequent phrase, ordained for it an appropriate destiny, fakadarahu Taqdira, speaks to the perfect measure, the precise calibration, and the eternal preordainment of all things. Nothing in the universe is haphazard or accidental. Every atom, every celestial body, every life form, and every event has its perfect measure and destined course, meticulously set by the all-knowing Creator. This concept, known as Taqdir, is a cornerstone of Islamic belief, instilling in the believer a sense of profound trust in the divine wisdom and a recognition of the sublime order that permeates the cosmos. Kanzulaman Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25-3 verse 3. And they have set up other gods besides him, who cannot create anything and are themselves created, and who possess no power for their own harm or benefit, and who own no power over death or life or rising. In stark contrast to the absolute reality presented in the previous verses, the third verse addresses the grievous error of the disbelievers. And they have set up other gods besides him. This transition immediately juxtaposes the boundless majesty of Allah with the utter impotence of the false deities worshipped by the polytheists. The description of these idols and false gods is damning and meticulously logical, dismantling their purported divinity with irrefutable reasoning. The first point of refutation is their utter inability to create, who cannot create anything and are themselves created. How can an object of worship be one that is itself brought into being by a finite hand? The creation of something from nothing colic is the exclusive, defining characteristic of the Supreme Being. To worship what is created is a self-evident contradiction and a fundamental failure of intellect. The critique then moves to their lack of control over their own state or that of their devotees, and who possess no power for their own harm or benefit. These idols cannot ward off a fly or protect themselves from damage. They are inert matter, possessing no agency whatsoever. This rhetorical device forces the listener to confront the ludicrous nature of seeking protection or provision from something utterly defenseless and powerless. Finally, the verse strikes at the very core of existential power, and who own no power over death or life or rising. The ultimate powers to give life, to cause death, imata, and to resurrect after death bath, are the exclusive domain of Allah, a deity. Incapable of controlling these essential aspects of existence is no deity at all. This verse is not merely a rejection of idolatry. It is a profound lesson in logical theology, teaching the believer to recognize the true locus of power and to direct all worship and supplication to him alone. The sheer weight of this logical exposition serves to strengthen the faith of the believers and to expose the hollowness of the opposition's claims. Kanzel Aman, Quran, Al-Furqan the Criterion, 25-4 verse 4. And the disbelievers said, "This is nothing but a forged lie that he has invented, and some other people have helped him upon it. So they have committed oppression and a lie." The fourth verse shifts the focus to the actual accusations hurled by the disbelievers against the Prophet Mohammad, peace be upon him. In the Quran, and the disbelievers said, "This is nothing but a forged lie that he has invented, and some other people have helped him upon it." This perfectly encapsulates the arrogance and intellectual obstinacy of the Makkan elite. It's unable to refute the sublime truth, the sheer eloquence, or the moral imperative of the Quran. They resort to the simplest form of rejection, personal slander, and baseless conspiracy theories. They claimed the Quran was a fabrication, a concoction of lies that the Prophet, peace be upon him, had concocted. The further claim that some other people have helped him upon it was a desperate attempt to undermine the divine source of the message, suggesting that he was being secretly tutored by non-Muslims who possessed some knowledge of the older scriptures, thus making the Quran a mere rehash of past narratives. This narrative was intended to strip the Prophet, peace be upon him, of his credibility as a sole messenger. Allah's response to this accusation is immediate and unequivocal, declaring their actions as a double offense. They have committed oppression and a lie. The use of the term oppression, zulm, is significant. Zulm is not just simple injustice. In a spiritual context, it is the ultimate darkness, the misplacement of things, particularly the misplacement of worship and truth. By calling the divine word a lie, they committed oppression against the truth itself and against the Prophet, peace be upon him. By associating a divine, uncreated message with a human-invented lie, they perpetrated a great spiritual falsehood, kidhab. This verse highlights the profound moral failure of the disbelievers, whose hearts were so hardened that they chose slander and denial over the clear signs of truth that stood before them. It is a timeless lesson that the rejection of truth is not a neutral act, but an active form of injustice. Kanzul Aman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion, 25-5, verse 5. And they said, "These are tales of the former people that he has got written, so they are read to him morning and evening." The fifth verse provides a specific detail of the disbelievers' accusation, offering a glimpse into their strategy of intellectual dismissal. And they said, "These are tales of the former people that he has got written, so they are read to him morning and evening." This is an extension of their earlier claim of forgery. They now reduce the majestic narratives and profound moral lessons of the Quran stories of Noah, peace be upon him, the people of Ed and Thamud and others, to mere tales of the former people as a tier, a lalin, a common designation for old legends, fables, or myths. This was an attempt to categorize the Quran as folklore, lacking any divine or authoritative status. The notion that the Prophet, peace be upon him, has got written, and that they are read to him morning and evening, paints a picture of a clandestine, deliberate effort to memorize and present manufactured material. This accusation reveals the depth of their spiritual blindness. They sought a rational human explanation for the miraculous impact and coherence of the Quran, refusing to accept the supernatural source. The very structure, eloquence, and internal consistency of the Quran, especially coming from an unlettered man in a society that valued oral poetry, should have been the clearest sign of its divine origin. Yet their arrogance prevented them from seeing the obvious. The repetition of morning and evening satirically implies a painstaking, continuous effort by the Prophet, peace be upon him, to learn and recite these supposed fables, a final desperate attempt to reduce the divine revelation to a simple, human-level literary practice. This verse sets the stage for the rest of the surah, which will systematically and dramatically use these very tales of the former people, the narratives of previous prophets, and destroyed nations to demonstrate the truth of the warning and the inevitable consequence of heedlessness. Integrated into this scene, the elegance of the Quranic structure is evident here. The first two verses establish the unparalleled majesty of the Creator and the perfection of his revelation, while the subsequent three verses immediately bring into sharp focus the opposition's weak and contradictory claims. This contrast is designed to awaken the listener, forcing a choice between the absolute reality of Allah's sovereignty and the baseless fables of human denial. The spiritual life is the continuous process of choosing the criterion, Al-Furqan, over the allure of baseless assertions. The essence of Surah Al-Furqan's opening verses is the acknowledgement of Allah's absolute sovereignty and the divine. Distinguishing nature of the Quran, the following hadith beautifully reinforces the importance of the Quran as the ultimate guide and criterion. Hadith: the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught, "The best among you are those who learn the Quran and teach it." Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 5027. This beautiful saying of the Prophet Mohammad, peace be upon him, connects directly with the purpose of the Quran's revelation as Al-Furqan, the criterion. By labeling those who learn and teach the Quran as the best among you, the Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasizes the supreme spiritual and moral value of this divine text. It suggests that true excellence and worth are measured by one's engagement with the message of Allah, the very source of guidance that distinguishes right from wrong. This pursuit of ilm from the Quran is the pathway to becoming a warner in one's own sphere, fulfilling the spirit of the purpose for which it was sent down upon his bondman, as mentioned in the opening verse. It is an invitation to make the Criterion the center of one's life, illuminating the path for oneself and for others. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, the possessor of majesty and honor, by the light of your Criterion, Al-Furqan, grant our hearts the clarity to discern truth from the most subtle falsehood, and bestow upon our souls the unwavering courage to stand firm upon the path of righteousness, even when scorned by the ignorant. Make us your sincere bondmen and bondwomen, those who perfectly submit, and allow the magnificent perfection of your Tawhid to permeate every fiber of our being, shielding us from the sins of associating partners with your supreme sovereignty. Illuminate our minds with the eel of your created order, that we may recognize the precise measure and magnificent destiny you have ordained for all things, and grant us a life and a death that are a testament to your names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ill. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ameen.